Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Coast News. And as well, it's got some amazing news from different theme parks, rides, attractions and events all over the world. So let's get straight into the news today. Our top story for tonight, Hyperia has officially opened at Thorpe Park. And we have been waiting for this day for so long, pretty much practically since the start of this series in fact. And it has finally come, and it's absolutely a momentous occasion in the UK theme park industry. But if you somehow don't know what I'm talking about, basically Hyperia is a brand new Mack Rides hypercoaster that is opened at Thorpe Park today in Surrey, England. It has officially taken the title from the big one at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, which opened 30 years ago as the tallest and fastest roller coaster in the UK, and also the most weightless as well, meaning it has the most out of your seat moments on the ride. It's like the most air time, the most hang time, etc. And it's just crazy. Like, according to the official stats that Thorpe Park released, Hyperia has 14.8 seconds of airtime, which, when you compare it to the likes of Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point, which has the most airtime on any roller coaster in the world, I think that still applies after like 6 years of operating. I think that has about 24 seconds of airtime or something like 20, I might be wrong, around 20 seconds of airtime. So it's not far off the record, to be honest. It's got quite a lot of airtime, even though it's only like a short ride. Literally even though it's a short ride, every element on the ride, from what I've heard, seems to just be full of airtime and hang time and things like that. Just insane forces on the ride. And obviously people that have ridden it today said it's absolutely amazing. It's left them speechless, apparently. And people have been like absolutely, it sounds like an amazing ride. And obviously they held the VIP launch event last night, on the 23rd of May. Obviously people who were specifically invited to come down, so like obviously certain like content creators and some celebrities as well, and even the CEO of Merlin Entertainment himself, Scott O'Neill, had his ride on it, his first ride on it, which is obviously the ride is now officially open to the public today, and it's had queues of around 5 to 6 hours, which if you were at Nemesis Reborn on opening day and you thought the 4-hour queue was insane, Hyperia has a 6-hour queue, which is just, it's left me gobsmacked, to be honest. Like that, but it must be worth it because like the ride itself is absolutely amazing. Obviously, in terms of like actual, we knew we weren't going to have much theming anyway, but in terms of the actual area presentation, I think they've actually done it pretty well. And it obviously looks really well presented. Obviously, the main star of the show is obviously the ride itself, and it looks absolutely spectacular. And I cannot wait to actually ride Hyperia myself when I go to Thorpe Park in October. And I'm so glad the ride has finally opened after all this time. In other news today, Paultons Park have announced their future plans for new attractions within the next 2 years. And I'm so glad to see how much Paultons Park are actually investing into their park. Like, from what I've heard, the park is absolutely amazing, like in terms of, obviously it's mainly family theme park. If you know what I'm talking about, basically Paultons Park is a theme park located in Southampton, or near Southampton anyway. It is obviously home to some of the most, it's sort of like a hidden gem sort of theme park. It's very popular, obviously. It's one of the main sort of highlight theme parks in the UK. It's not like owned by these big companies like Merlin Entertainment or Looping Group or anything. But it's obviously very popular. It's mainly family theme parks, so they've got a lot of family-friendly attractions. Obviously, the main reason, one of the main reasons they're famous is because of Peppa Pig World. But they've also got other attractions as well, lands such as Lost Kingdom, Tornado Springs, rides such as Flight of the Terrace or Storm Chaser, Velociraptor, Cobra, and even things like the new Splash Lagoon, which has opened as part of an expansion to Lost Kingdom. And that actually looks really heavily themed, that attraction. I'm really glad how that's turned out. But obviously recently they actually held their super fan event, which was on the opening day of Splash Lagoon, and I obviously didn't attend that day, but I've heard it is absolutely amazing. Like they obviously did a lot of behind the scenes stuff for like the other major attractions, including Storm Chaser and Flight of the Terrace and things like that. And they also did like a special sort of announcement thing on at the end of the event, where they'll basically go through like the plans for the new attractions in the next couple of years. And obviously they announced, they confirmed what their new dark ride was going to be that was rumoured for a couple of months at the start of the season, is going to be a new dark ride called Ghostly Manor, which is said to be a Mack-Rides gaming theatre attraction, which is a brand new type of dark ride from Mack-Rides that has never been built before, so it'll be a world's first. And obviously it's basically like sort of like a spinning structure, like with like a turntable with like 5 different seats you can view it from. It's hard to explain, but it looks really interesting. And there's also, for after that, 2026, they announced a brand new attraction that we don't know what it's going to be, themed around Vikings. We know literally nothing about this new attraction other than it's going to be themed to Vikings. I've already made a video on this new attraction. You can see it, like the one prior to this. But it sounds like it's going to be an absolutely big attraction, and I cannot wait to see what these new attractions turn out like. Obviously, Ghostly Manor is opening in May 2025, and that's going to be absolutely amazing. And what's probably even more exciting is this new Viking attraction. I cannot wait to see what that turns out like. Also in the news today, Tír Na NÓg has officially opened at Emerald Park in Ireland. I hope I've pronounced that right. But basically, if you know what I'm talking about, basically, Tír Na NÓg is a brand new themed land that has opened at Emerald Park in Ireland. It is home to, I think it's 3 main attractions, but there's 2, in part of that land is 2 new coasters. Obviously they're both from Vekoma. There is a Vekoma family boomerang called the Quest, and there is a Vekoma suspended thrill coaster called, I think it's Na Fianna Force or something, and both rides look absolutely insane. Honestly, in terms of, it looks so heavily themed as well, but also the actual ride experiences themselves looks like so much fun, especially the Na Fianna Force. That looks so intense. It looks like it looks amazing, honestly. Like the whole presentation of the area, it's themed basically the actual land itself, Tír Na NÓg. The name translates to Land of Eternal Youth. It's got like a very sort of fantasy, sort of like fairy tale theme. And obviously it is, like I said, it is heavily themed, like so many different, like it honestly looks like something you'd see around like Europa Park or Phantasialand. And the way that whole area is presented just looks gorgeous. And obviously they actually opened it, I think it was this past weekend, I think. Or it was like at some point this week, I can't remember when it was, but they opened it, and obviously they held press events. They actually made like a TV show featuring the actual openings of it. I think the TV show was called Nerves of Steel, which is like a 5-part series documenting this new attraction that's opened at Emerald Park. And it honestly does look really cool. Like the whole presentation of it. This actually has been in the works for a good few years now. I think it's about 5 years that it's been in the works. I remember hearing when they planned to build a Vekoma suspended thrill coaster and a Vekoma family boomerang back in like 2019, 2020. In fact, I vaguely remember, I can't remember when it was, I think it was in the early stages, that the original location it was planned to build in, actually, it got denied the plans there because it was sort of near a residential area and there was fears that it would create too much noise. So actually moved it to a different area of the park, and then plans got approved. And obviously COVID will have had a delay and everything, but they started constructing it, and obviously, basically the rest is history. Obviously they've opened it, they've announced it, and it looks so cool. It probably looks like one of the best attractions in the park, really. Probably one of the main like sort of standout attractions in that whole park, and it's absolutely amazing. And obviously they're really sort of becoming one of the bigger parks in Europe, Emerald Park, and I cannot wait to see what their future is like. And I'm so glad that this brand new land has officially opened. And finally in the news today, vertical construction has finally begun on Palindrome at Circuit of the Americas. And I'm so glad that this ride is actually finally coming to fruition after so many years of just like hearing about it, but then no actual construction has begun. But if you know what I'm talking about, basically Palindrome is a brand new Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster that is scheduled to open at Circuit of the Americas, I think next year. At this rate it's going to be opening next year. It's not going to be opening this year, there's just not enough time. They've only just started vertical construction on the actual ride. And obviously it is, I think it's a world's first attraction. I think it's very similar to, Mystic at Wallaby Roan Alps, where it's like an infinity shuttle coaster. So obviously it ascends up the lift hill for the ride, which is a vertical lift hill, and it goes down the beyond vertical drop, and then after the drop it immediately goes through a turntable element, which is just a bit, obviously, because that part of the ride is not being used as a turntable after the drop, it's just straight track. Then it goes through all the other elements, including like a 0G stall and like a wave turn. And then it goes up the vertical spike, and then obviously it rolls back, goes back through the rest of the layout, and then when it gets to the turntable, it stops, and obviously it rotates and goes back into the station. So obviously it's a very unique ride. Obviously there aren't many of these in the world that I'm aware of. But I think it was originally announced in 2019, 2020, 21 time. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But it was announced quite a while ago. And obviously it was scheduled to open, I think, originally in 2022. So it has been in the plans for quite a while now, but obviously, and in between that, they've announced Circuit Breaker, which is a brand new Vekoma tilt coaster, which is also scheduled to open, I think, in the same year as Palindrome. And obviously, track for that had already arrived. I'm not sure if vertical construction has started on that yet. But track for Circuit Breaker had already arrived, and same with Palindrome. Track and supports had only arrived sort of recently, and then construction only started within like the last sort of couple of weeks. But it's progressing quite well actually. They've started building the main structure for the lift hill and part of the first drop. So hopefully, I don't know how long it actually takes for these guys to actually construct brand new roller coasters, because this and Circuit Breaker are their first actual major coasters. I'm not even joking. This place only opens as a theme park, I think, back in like 2019. But either way, I'm so glad to see that these brand new attractions are being built. They're finally coming to reality, and I cannot wait for Palindrome to open, and then Circuit Breaker hopefully next year. So that is it for this week's episode of Coast News. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, then please make sure to like and subscribe, and comment what you would like to see in the next video. Goodbye.